Problem number 5, this one here, what we see here are circles and some arcs and then some more circles. Really don't have any type of rectangular features or other type of shapes like we do in many of the other problems. We have an instance like this. What we will normally begin with, it's not absolutely necessary, but what we often begin with are the center lines, the horizontal and vertical. Now they are orthogonal, meaning not only perpendicular to each other, but also horizontal and vertical. We'll usually start with those, and so that's what I'm going to do. Another thing, now it's actually not identified until we get down to problem, I don't understand why, problem 9a. This little tick here and here, they actually are finally identify that that is a point of tangency, a tangent point. Either way is, both those ways are correct to identify. And that's also what we have here. Here and here, here and here. These are points of tangency. It's where this arc smoothly transitions into this arc, changing different radius, different direction. And then, of course, back again here, here, and here. We'll get into that. And again, knowing that those are tangent points or tangencies is useful information, as well as seeing, now we have the dimensions, obviously. Couple things, we have some things listed or given in radius, such as C and D, and then we have some things like E, F, and G given in diameter. The standard is if the curve is a complete circle all the way around, then they're going to give the unit or the measurement, the dimension, all the way across, being your diameter. If it is an arc is partial or part of a circle, then they're going to give you a partial or part of that dimension. Basically, they're just reducing it down to the radius. So, simply put, if we have an arc, they are given size-wise with the radius. If we have a full circle, that is given dimension size-wise with the diameter. Okay, with that information, I guess last point to make, F is, it is a circle. However, F is not really part of your object. It's what would be considered a center line. Even though it is a circle, it is identifying the distance from, now these are all concentric. You should be able to see that. Two reasons. One, that I don't show a center anywhere else other than A or B. But two, because those margins, those distances between this outer C arc and F, and between F and E, they appear to be uniform and stay the same, which is exactly what it would be. So that information, along with F identifying the distance from point A, the center, to somewhere on F, and in this case being the quadrants, top, bottom, right, left, in both cases. And of course I only have one here, so the diameter of F should be the distance from A to B 90, and F being a diameter 90, so we're good there. So take that information back to the drawing board. Okay, so we are doing problem 5. This is one I'd already done on a video that was trash, so I'm redoing it here. So I said that we start with the center lines. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you this. Some of you probably have already seen it or figured it out. On the home ribbon, you have a properties panel. Now we will get into this very deeply later. Just go ahead and click red. Now what this is sometimes referred to as hard coloring. At least that's a common phrase some people, some drafters use. Even though I'm going to teach you this later on, I'm going to highly advise against using it. But that's because we're then going to use everything by layer, control our settings by layers, which is what it meant by layer. Now, the fact I've changed it now, don't have anything created. I haven't selected anything. So therefore, whatever I create now is going to be the color red. So in this case, I will draw a line for about 240. I'm just going to go ahead and draw this at 250. Again, 120. I'll draw a vertical one at, now I'm just kind of picking some random places, 150. Okay. I will go ahead and move this up here, and I'll move it down a little bit. And then, of course, I will copy this one, and that one from A to B is 90, so I'll type 90. Now, I'm done with this. This is all at this time, excuse me, at this time, all I am wanting to draw red, and you'll see why here in just a second. It helps me differentiate this from the other objects, makes it a little clearer for me. And clarity is the absolute most important thing about our drawings, clarity. So if I start drawing the circles, the objects now, well, they are red. Well, if I know I'm done with those, I'm going to go ahead and click here, and I'm going to go back to by layer. And per that, you can see that it appears that the current layer, being 0, is white, or what will ultimately turn out black if I were to print this. So this gets to be problematic every once in a while, that forgetting your drawing and then you forget to change it, and back and forth, so on and so forth. It gets to be annoying in itself. So in this case, I'll go ahead and draw the circles. Let's see, E, which is a diameter, D, enter, of, I'm having a hard time seeing without my glasses, 60. And I'll have another one over here. And it's real nice and easy to see, to very quickly identify our drawing. We have this in nice bright white, and even though I'm not really paying attention to it, I do see the center lines, and it's relatively very easy to see that those are center lines because of their color. They are different, so it's real easy to see what's object, what's center lines. So I'm going to go ahead and straighten these up a little bit. Again, a lot of different ways you can do that. I'll just draw real quick here to here, and then I'll move that to there. Erase. Okay, now I should be nice and symmetrical with my center lines as well. I am still, and this is one reason why I don't recommend using this, because we don't often check up here regularly to see exactly what we're doing. But in this case, I am on the bilayer color, so I'll do some more circles. And a diameter for F, I'll do 90. And then again, now I could just draw all three of these here and then mirror it. That's definitely an option. And I'll go ahead and draw arc C as a circle. And in this case, it gives me a radius. I'll double check it. I see the yellow dash line on my screen looking for radius. So C is 60. I hope that's correct. Okay, now, again, to keep things clear, I'm going to go ahead and trim this. And in this case, I'm going to select these as my trimming objects. If not, then I'm going to have to click. If I right click, then I'm going to have to click in here and here and here and here. It really gets to be annoying. So TR object is my trimmers. Now notice the entire arc on the inside there trims. Now I just told you about somewhat of a problem remembering to change this back and forth, and that's okay. I said the white are my objects. Well, the thing is, that is not an object, that is not an object. Those are the circles F, diameter 90 millimeters, that identify the location of the smaller circles at each of the quadrants. So what I can do, instead of changing color then drawing, it's okay. In this case, I changed my mind, or I missed this. In this case, I missed it. So I can select the objects, go up here, and click on red. Now those should be easily distinguishable about those being somewhat of a center line, as opposed to these two arcs and two circles. So, and also, I've selected them, I changed colors. Once I select it, you see it changes to red since I've already changed it. If I accidentally change more than, or select more than one thing, it's blank. If you ever see these being blank, then you know that there's more than one setting being used. So in this case, those are both red. And if I hadn't, I'd do it here. I change them to red. And then once I escape, I'm still back at what my default or current setting is, which is white or by layer. So in this case, now I can go ahead and do the small circles of a diameter. This is G, so 20. And then I can copy from quadrant to quadrant. I can mirror those, or in this case I only have 3 more, so I'll just knock them out. And that's pretty much, it's pretty much done. Now the one thing that is different, and if you mark these off again with a highlighter, you mark them off, you should notice that you have yet to mark off radius 40 for D, arc D. These arcs in here being drawn. So basically I've got this circle somewhere. Now this being symmetrical, if you haven't thought of it, if you have, good. If you haven't thought of it, it should be somewhat, you should be able to understand and realize it is absolutely necessary that this center be straight above this center point, midpoint, so on and so forth, or this quadrant. And the thing here is it needs to be tangent to this. Now that is what that perpendicular, that's not tangent, but it is knowing that, or it is implying the same thing. That happens to be perfectly tangent. What is not the case, because I just simply selected the center point at random and double click here. Come on. Is that the radius is 65.4565 and it goes on and on. It is not the radius of 40 like it said it was. Question is, where is that center point if the radius is 40 and it is tangent to these two? In a sense, I don't care. Why? Because we've mentioned a few times, we've got multiple ways of doing circles, and just so happens I have one that says tangent, tangent, radius. Well, those are the only 3 things I know is true about this circle, is that it is tangent to here, it is tangent to here, and the radius is 40. Let me double check, make sure, yes, it is 40. So I'm going to select this, tangent, tangent, radius. If I don't select it there, I do circle, right click, and it's right down here. Specify center point or circle, 3 point, 2 point, or TTR, tangent, tangent, radius. And that is the one I want. Now it's asking first thing that it is tangent to. Hovering over, you see what the tangent object snap icon looks like. Click here. It's asking for yet another tangent. Click here. Now it's asking for that radius, and in this case it is 40. And there it is. I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing. Now I right click to repeat last command. Pay attention to what it's asking for. Specify center point, such as center radius type circle, like what's up here on default. That isn't what I want. Again, I have it down on the command line, or I can, if you look at my dynamic display, specify, or dynamic input, specify center point for circle, or, and then that is a little icon of a down arrow. If you click your cursor key down arrow, then you will get the same options up there that you have down here. So I'll click tangent, tangent, and radius 40 is already set in my dynamic input because that is the last one I entered. I'll just right click to accept it, and there it is. And then I will trim. And there I have it. Now, don't be surprised if this looks a little mustered up, kind of messed up. There is one arc, there is another arc. If these endpoints happen to be at different locations, then you probably do need to do a little bit of refinement. But also as you zoom in, if all of a sudden it looks like they're off, it looks like this isn't a curved line, it's got multiple straight segments, that's all right. That's the software kind of conserving its resources. There's no reason for it to recalculate all the time to identify that is a smooth curve. RE, R for redraw, but RE, regenerate, means it'll recalculate all of the commands and then it'll make this smooth again. So there we have number 5.